Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. This time we take a look at the 1999 Opel Tigra 1.6i, a car quite similar to the Opel Corsa Sport, which we have had go around the course before. They actually share the same chassis, underpinnings, engines, all that type of stuff. The Tigra is supposed to be the sporty coupe and the Corsa is obviously supposed to be the normal Super Mini. Now, this of course being Europe GM in the 90s, it didn't quite work like that, and the Tigra actually weighed about 150 kilos more than the Corsa, from what I remember. So, yeah, the sporty coupe thing didn't really work. The handling is technically by Lotus. We'll see if that helps it or not. If it's anything like any of the Lotuses that we've had go around the track, probably not. So, it'll be interesting to see if this one is quicker than the Corsa. I should mention this one does have a racing modification, but this one isn't running it because the Vauxhalls are going to run the racing mods for the Opels because they're basically the same cars. Otherwise, front engine, front wheel drive, 240 horsepower, 949 kilos. Statistically, pretty mediocre. So let's find out how it gets along. It is going to get 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track in order to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5 GSR, which set a time, I believe, of a 27.806. This is obviously not going to beat that. Opel Corsa 31.4. Admittedly, that car did go around a very, very long time ago, so it'll be interesting to see how this competes. We have had a strange relationship with the European Super Minis. Either they're very sort of mid, or they actually turn out to be ridiculously quick. Stuff like the Fiat Punto, for example, which is one of the quickest front-wheel drive cars we've had go around here. So, it'd be interesting to see. I sort of, in a weird way, I hope this does alright. I actually don't dislike the Tigra, I'll be honest. I think it looks much better than the Corsa. I actually don't even particularly dislike the hardtop one that they made later on, which was basically a Corsa convertible. I think it just looks a lot more aesthetically pleasing than a Corsa. It's also quicker than a Corsa, apparently. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't own one, definitely not, and it's still got the same cookie-cutter interior that the Corsa has, which means dreadful, as all the South Americans watching will now try to execute in the comment section. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I always looked at these and I thought they were quite a curiosity. Obviously, the Vauxhall/Opel version of the Puma, which was Ford's small coupe turned silly crossover now, because that's the way the world's going. I'm surprised the Mokka isn't called the Tigra, actually, come to think of it. But maybe they just don't think that car has any form of legacy, I don't know. Now, one interesting thing to mention between the Opel and the Vauxhall versions is this car is running NA Stage 2, I believe, and you do have the option of Turbo Stage 2. Both of them make exactly the same amount of power. They both make 240 horsepower. So, I figured will be a bit interesting. We'll use the NA tune in the Opel and we'll stick the turbo in the Vauxhall, and we'll see what the actual difference is between the two, because I think that could be quite interesting. In terms of handling, this is one of those front-wheel drive cars that is actually quite oversteery. I can't quite remember how the Corsa handled. From what I remember, it wasn't bad. This is quicker, significantly quicker than the Corsa, but also I think the Corsa actually made less power than this did, even though they share engines because of Gran Turismo logic. But yeah, it's a tricky car to drive. It's quick, it's just a bit trickier than a Corsa, so I guess that's the trade-off you make. I think this could be a little bit quicker. I did have a collision with the wall on my fastest lap there, but I don't think there's much in it. And to be fair, that is a very impressive time for this car. 30.860. That is, well, it's beating a lot of stuff it maybe shouldn't. Let's put it that way. Yeah, on the whole, I mean, it's not actually awful, to be fair. It's a lot quicker than you expect. I'll be interested to see how the turbo in this functions, because I think with a turbocharger this might even be quicker because the power delivery would be a bit better. Yeah, I think maybe there's 0.1 in there looking at that Sector 2, but I don't... it's one of those cars where, I'll be honest, as much as I did collide with a wall, I don't think there's much left on the table for it. But, yeah, impressive to say the least. A 30.860 places it into 82nd place. It is the quickest Opel that we have had. It dethrones the Astra. It's only very slightly slower than the Honda Civic Type R, quicker than the Alfa Romeo 166 Twin Spark, quicker than 200 SX, Mercury Cougar, which is the most powerful front-wheel drive car in the game. As I mentioned, it's quicker than the Astra, BMW 320 Ci. There is a lot of cars that this is quicker than and probably shouldn't be. It does lose out slightly to the Citroen Saxo, EG Civic, Mark IV Golf. Just trying to look at anything else comparable to this on the way up. Obviously the Punto, which we mentioned, FTO, is significantly quicker than this. So it's not the best sort of coupe small car you can get. That would go to the FTO, but this ain't bad. It really isn't bad. And of course, obviously, this is the lesser Tigra in this game because you've got the ice race car, but we'll get into that rabbit hole later. Anyways, that is it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching, and join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.